Well, I've been looking online and I'm replacing the interior of my F33A Bonanza, and I haven't really found much online about how to go about it. So I figured, you know what, I'll just kind of take some videos as I go along. You can see that I've already taken the carpet out, and I have already removed the seats and the spar covers. That part's pretty straightforward, getting your seats out, spar covers off, carpet out. And I've also removed the right side panels. And there's some learning experience there, but as I go through, I will show you how I'm going to do the left side, and you'll get an idea what you have to do to get it all off. Also the rear bulkhead, and I can show you a little later about how we're going to go about refinishing that and getting it cleaned up, ready to go, as well as the side panels. Kind of gives you an idea what your tail cone looks like if you've ever had that off. A lot of stuff in there. So let's move forward. Well, the first thing you need to do is, if you haven't got any knee pads, get some. You're going to need them. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take this this trim off. So for the bottom here, these black things are just push-in plastic retainers. Screws along the top, you'll find these at the bottom. You just kind of gotta get back under there and pop them out. There's a few of them. Kind of look like this, little plastic push-ins, similar to what you find on trim on cars. Same kind of thing. So pop those out, get all the screws out, and we'll get this trim. The other thing you're going to have to do is take the seatbelt guide off, and there's a little close hook up here, like hanging hangers on. This little rubber thing will actually come off of there. You got to pull the back a little bit, and then it'll slip off, and behind there is a screw, and that screw's got to come out as well, but you got to take this rubber cover off first. There's also a screw behind this trim piece that's just velcroed on. Pop it off, get the screw out, and we'll be ready to take this trim loose. Okay, I think I've got seatbelt retractor off, got that screw behind that out, and I think we're ready to go to try to remove this piece of trim. It's kind of unwieldy, it's a little fragile, so we want to take a little bit of care with it. Yeah, there's one more screw that holds these two pieces of trim together. It was on the back side, it's hard to see, but it's there. Once you get that loose, this whole piece comes out in one piece. The other one you want to make sure of when you're stepping around in here, the roll servo, all the aileron pulleys and cables are right in this area, right in front of the rear spar. Just got to be careful when you're stepping around, you don't step on any of that stuff. So be careful. Okay, next thing you want to take off is this last piece of trim. It's got 3 or 4 or 5 screws in it. Once you get those screws out, come right off. There's also a screw that goes through the glare shield right here, that holds the glare shield on, goes through this piece of trim. You gotta get that out too. Once you get that out, should come out pretty easily. And there you have it. Next thing you're gonna have to do is get this armrest off. It's velcroed on, the vinyl part. And if it hasn't been off for a while, it is a bear. They are really hard to get off. I'm able to get this one unvelcroed partially so I can get to these 2 screws. You get those 2 screws out so we can get the armrest off, so we can take the upper part of the side panel off that's around the window. But When I put these back on, I'm not going to use this industrial strength Velcro. Okay, the other thing you're going to have to do to get this upper part of the side panel off is remove the OAT gauge. What you have to do there is you have to go outside the shield that goes outside the fuselage. That unscrews counterclockwise. Just take a little pair of pliers, put a rag around the probe shield, break it loose counterclockwise, it'll thread off. That's what locks this thing in. Now you have to turn the gauge counterclockwise to screw it out in order to get it out. So that's what I'm going to try. Mine's coming out pretty easy, but I've heard stories about this getting corroded into the aircraft and they can be a bear to get out. But it looks like mine's pretty loose, so I'm going to go ahead and take it out. All right. So we got the outside air temperature gauge off, and there's a post lamp for that. As soon as you pull the outside air temperature gauge out, the little escutcheon behind it just kind of falls off the wall. And you can then lift up this, where the armrest is, that just lifts up, it comes right off. And behind there's a plug. You can unplug the post light for the OAT gauge, and that whole piece will come off. And you know, here it is right here. This panel here, this side panel, goes from the back bulkhead all the way to the front, to the left front air vent. There's a beauty escutcheon ring around that air vent. There's 5 or 6 screws in it. You take those off, the beauty ring comes off, and you'll be able to take this whole piece out in one piece. If you have your headphone mic and earphone jacks in the armrest here, you'll have to undo the 2 little nuts so you can get the jacks out of the armrest as the panel comes off. So I think if we pull on this thing, it'll lift right out of this channel at the bottom, should anyway. So we'll pull it all out, we'll lift it on up, and the whole thing comes right out. So now the whole thing's loose. Undo your jacks, pull it out the cargo door. Piece of cake. And then when we go to reupholster this, we're going to have to take the armrests off. Like I said, these armrests are Velcroed on. There's some screws back there you got to get to. They're going to be difficult to get off. Once we get it out of there, we'll have to strip this vinyl off. There's some foam behind here that's going to have to come off. It's relatively easy to strip off. Contact cement, the vinyl's contact cemented on around the backside. Just kind of peel that off. You got to be careful because this is like a honeycomb fiberglass material. It's fairly fragile, and it'd be better if you cut the vinyl here and then peel it back the other way so that you don't damage the edge. So that's what I did. I cut the vinyl all the way around the edges and I peeled it from the front side to the back. Came off pretty easy. And a little bit of acetone cleans off the contact cement pretty easily as well. Get it ready for the new fabric, because when it comes, I'm going to be using Airtex. I ordered the kit. The new vinyl that's for the wall panels comes with foam already on it. And I haven't got the kit yet, so hopefully it's cut sort of the right size and everything. But so then for the next week or so, till I'm waiting for that kit to come in, I'm going to be stripping all this vinyl and getting all this contact cement off. In a few minutes, I'll show you how to get this bottom panel off where the carpet is. That's a little trickier. But as soon as I get this cleared out of the way, we'll start on that. Okay, this bottom carpet piece, that's harder to get out than the top. I found a good way to do it is it's in this channel here. You can either put your hand back here and pop out the, bow it a little bit to get it out of this. It's backed by a piece of aluminum, so you got to pop it out of the channel. But a better way I found was to just grab the bottom, pull the bottom out first, and then push it down. It pops right out, and then you can pull it out to the back. It was a little difficult the first time I did it. I'm putting it back in now. Put it back in the same way, kind of tilt it, put it up in the channel, slide it in the bottom. It's a little difficult around here up near the spar, but it's not that bad. So either bow it out from the middle or pull it out from the bottom, it'll come out of there. Okay, you'll see that this is one of the side panels, and you can see it's got some glue on it. It had some insulation on the back side. And one of the things you need to do is get the glue off of this. And I figured out that if you put a little acetone on it and take a little grinder there with a cup wire wheel on it, and get one that's variable speed so you can slow it down so it doesn't hurt it. But it comes off pretty easy once you soften it up with the acetone. You can see that this panel's been out a couple times before. This honeycomb fiberglass material is pretty fragile, and somebody, when they were taking it out, obviously bent it and cracked it. And I'm going to show you here in a few minutes how to fix that like brand new. Okay, so you can see that I've cleaned it up a little bit, wiped it down with some acetone. You need to get yourself some 2-ounce modeling fiberglass cloth. It's very lightweight, and just cut it so that it fits your repair area that you need. Okay, so I've got that pre-cut and ready to go. Then all we're going to do is we're going to use a little super glue here. We're going to lay down a couple of beads on each side of this crack. Put some in the crack. We're going to lay this, we're going to lay our cloth in here. We're going to squeegee the super glue out so that it gets everywhere we need it to get. Might need to get a little extra here and there. And then we're going to hit it with some Insta-Set accelerator spray. And that's going to instantly set that super glue up. You got to clamp down nice on a board so it's nice and flat. And this baby's cured. Done. So wipe it down. We're going to flip that over and do the same patch on the other side, and I'll show it to you when it's done. So I don't know if you can see it, it's not as badly cracked on this side, but we're going to do this one just like we did the other one. Wipe her down a little bit. Unclamp it. And you can see that that repair, that's as good as new. That is not going anywhere. So it gets a little warm when it cures, but that repair is as good as new. Works really good. Okay, I was going to show you real quick how to, this is a plastic, this is the door liner off the door, and it's made out of the Royalite plastic, and it's covered on the other side, of course, with the vinyl. There's two like this. There's this one, and the one on the other side, on the pilot side, the upper side panel is a shorter version of this, but it's basically the same thing. And these are pretty fragile. You don't want to be pulling and yanking on the vinyl to get it off, because this Royalite plastic is pretty fragile and it breaks easy. So I was going to show you real quick how to go about getting it off. You need a heat gun to do it, and a little scraper blade. Basically, you just heat it up. Get your knife underneath the vinyl, like clamp down here on the table. Once you get it started, it comes off pretty easy. So anyway, you go around like that, heating it up, pulling back the vinyl. Eventually, you'll be able to pull it back and pull it around the front side. Then we'll flip it over and I'll show you what the deal is on the other side. Okay, Got all that done. Flip this thing over. And we'll take our knife. We'll come in about 1 inch and cut this vinyl. Cut it pretty close to the edge. Should be able to get it off. So now we got all the edges off, so we don't break this edge. Next thing you got to do, it's a little tough, but you got to peel this. You got to separate this vinyl from the black foam. Once you get it started, you can get a grip on it and you can pull it off there. But be careful, hold down the plastic while you're pulling it off. It'll separate from the black foam, and the black foam will be left. And let me get this stripped off here, and I'll show you how we're gonna get that black foam off there. Okay, by far the biggest job of this whole thing has been getting this black foam off where the armrests go. It happens at every armrest. There's this black foam behind it. The new upholstery is going to come with this black foam already sewn in, and we just have to glue it back on. But we have to get this old stuff off of there, and it's been the most difficult of everything. Heat doesn't do it, acetone doesn't do it, nothing gets it off. The only way I've been able to do it is get it started and peel it back like this, and just pull on it and jab your blade in there. While pulling it back. And if you just keep doing that, it'll take a while, but it'll come off of there, and it'll leave this black residue that's left. I'll get all this off of here and I'll show you how we're gonna get that off. Okay, we got everything off. We got everything off here but this black residue. And first thing we got to do before we can get to the contact cement is get this black residue off. I'll show you real quick how we're going to do that. You saw me using before this grinder with a wire wheel on it. It'll make pretty quick work of the black stuff so we can get down to the contact cement. So once you get the black stuff off, that's when we go into it with our acetone, let it sit for a little minute, and then grind it off with the grinder. It'll go down to the original plastic. The acetone doesn't seem to hurt it any. I've done a couple of panels like this using acetone, and it doesn't seem to bother at all. So I'll get that all cleaned up, and you'll see when it's done. Now just take a little acetone, kind of smear it around on the where we ground off that black residue. Let that settle a little bit. See what this does. Might take a couple of times to get all of it off. So that's what it kind of looks like after you soften up that contact cement and sand it off of there. It'll take a little while, but got to get it all off so we can glue the new stuff down. Anyway, that's how you do it. Okay, the next project I'm going to do, this is the side panel at the left-hand side. This is the left rear passenger armrest area. This is the pilot up here. This right here was the 5th seat option. In my airplane, I'm taking that 5th seat option out. And so I need to cut this armrest area out, put in a patch panel, so when I put my new vinyl on, you won't see this armrest indentation anymore. And the stuff is made from kind of a fiberglass honeycomb material. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick. I found some online, and I think it's from a place called ABS Plastics. You can buy it in different sizes. This is a 2x2 piece. You can see it's pretty much an exact match to what I have. And it's pricey. Knocked a pretty good hole in a $200 bill for that piece. About $170 by the time I got it here, shipping. But I wanted to use the same stuff, so I bit the bullet and bought it. So I'm going to cut this out, and I'm going to put this panel in, and I'll show it how to do it in just a couple minutes. You can see where I've kind of marked out where I'm going to cut the panel, and I've already made one cut right here, and we're using just a grinder with a cutoff wheel in it. Cuts really easy. So I'm going to get that cut out and get right back to you. Okay, I got it cut out. I got my new panel underneath it, and have scribed where I need to cut it. So we'll cut that out, and we'll put it in. So there's the panel, fit into the hole. It's a really good fit. Now all we got to do is run our super glue and our modeling cloth around the edge on both sides, and it'll be good as new. So I'll get back to you in a minute. All right. So we'll get started doing our little patch with our super glue. So we'll just go around all four sides and show it to you when it's done. All right, it's all done. Don't think that's going anywhere. Just the way I wanted it. Turned out pretty good. So it's all ready to be recovered. Okay, for my next trick, I'm taking out the old insulation and putting in this new foil-backed sound dampening insulation. You can see I've got some of it already done. It's pretty easy. You just pull out the old insulation. It comes out really easy. You have this little residue on there left over from the little bit of glue they put on it. If you take just a Scotch-Brite pad and just kind of rub it on there. Pretty much get all the residue out of there. And usually what you can do is just measure it. They're pretty square in between the ribs, but sometimes you get this oddball shape and you need to kind of make a pattern. And I figured, you know what, I think I'll just use some foil. I think that's going to make a pretty nice pattern if I just put it in here, you know. Give me the general shape of it anyway. And I'll go out there and trace this on the foam and show you how we're going to cut it out. And here's my pattern that I made. Just going to put it on here. Just kind of trace around it. I'm gonna grab my $8 turkey knife that I bought on Amazon and we're gonna try it out, see if it cuts it. Well, not perfect, but we'll see how it fits. All right, got to cut out. Had to trim just a little bit on it, but it fits in there pretty good. I'm gonna peel the back off of it. Stuff sticks pretty good. Stick it in there tight like that. And that's all there is to it. Doesn't come off of there, it's stuck good. So I'm gonna go around and measure all the other little pieces I need, you know. Cut it out with my $8 turkey knife. Works pretty good. I'll get the rest of this done, but that's kind of how you go about it. And here it is, guys. All finished. All the way to the front. My son-in-law Dave helped me do this. He's an A&P, and it's a lot faster with two people handing out the measurements and one guy doing the cutting. Turned out really good. The knife, electric knife works really good, and stuff sticks really well. Went on pretty easy. So that's it. All right. Here's the pieces for the carpet. I've separated the aluminum backing from the carpet and cleaned it all up, got all the contact cement off, and when I get the new carpet kit, I will start putting this thing back together. And on the other side, and that encompasses all the lower side panels. The upper side panels are these. This is what they look after, like after they're all cleaned up. All those insulation, contact, cement is off of them. This comprises pretty much all the upper side panels on both sides. So they're all cleaned up, they're ready to go, just waiting for the vinyl to get here. Okay, my carpet and side panels and carpet came finally. Been waiting for a while from Airtex. These are the pieces, the old side panels. This is going to be the left lower side panel where the carpet is. And this is the sheet metal that the old carpet was glued to. And I've taken that off, cleaned it all up, got ready for the new one. So pretty much the carpet follows the cutouts in the sheet metal. So we're going to go ahead and kind of do the same thing. Lay the sheet metal on top and kind of trace around it. And then cut it out. I found that's the best way to do it. You can just take a black felt pen. So that's it. So I will get yourself a good pair of shears. These are Wiss. I got them at True Value or something, but they're really nice. They're sharp. They're easy to cut, and this carpet cuts pretty easy with it. It's a foam back carpet. It's a lot lighter duty than what came originally. A little easier to work with, and it's easy to cut. So I'll get this cut out, and then we'll start gluing it up. Okay, got it all cut out. Pretty much you can see it looks just like the old one. Now we just got to glue it on to our sheet metal backing. I just got me a cheapo gravity spray gun, and Airtex sends you the glue for it. I just dumped it into the spray gun, and see how she goes. Okay, we'll let that tack up a little bit, and then we'll stick them together. Okay, this might be a little tricky. Let's see how we can do. I think once this stuff grabs, it's pretty much all over. I think I got that good so far. Well, I think that's gonna do it. Nothing too tough, I don't think. So it might need a little trimming when you go put it in, you know, trim it here and there. But that's how you put the carpet back on. I thought I would show you in a still picture here what the upper left side panel kind of looks like when it comes from Airtex. You can see I've got it upside down there with the foam up. I've kind of marked out on the foam where I want to glue the panel with felt pen. And I just sprayed these up with the glue gun on both sides and just glued the panel to the foam. And then you go around and trim the foam back and you know, trim around the vinyl, and then you just wrap the vinyl around the edges and glue it down. Don't forget on the bottom of this panel, like we said before, to leave the foam up a little bit so it'll go into that aluminum channel. But that's kind of what it looks like when it comes from Airtex. All the side panel material kind of looks like that. So anyway, kind of give you an idea of how to do it. The other thing I wanted to do with this is my armrest had the ashtray, you know, the ashtrays in them. I didn't really want the ashtrays anymore, so I actually took the ashtrays out. I called Vantage Plain Plastics. They actually have the ABS plastic that matches the armrest material. They sent me a 1x1 piece of it and a plastic repair kit, which is pretty much the same color plastics. ABS plastic that comes in a little kit. You put MEK in it, turns it into a liquid overnight, put it in a syringe, and you kind of inject it around the joint where you cut the plastic to fit into where the ashtray was, and you inject this plastic, liquid ABS plastic around it, sand it down, and you get yourself some SEM color coat paint, color number 15103. Matches the color of our plastic in these airplanes almost exactly. Sand it down and paint it, and that's what it kind of looks like when you're done. It came out pretty nice. So if you don't want your ashtrays, it's a way to get rid of them. Okay guys, I skipped a few steps for you guys, but this is what it looks like when it's all done. I kind of showed you how to glue the carpet on. Gluing the side panel vinyl to the backing pieces is very similar. The only thing you need to be aware of when you do this, when you get the kit from Airtex, is you glue the foam to the backing plate. You never glue the vinyl to the foam. That's something you do not want to do. So for instance, where the armrest is here, the foam gets glued to the indentation where the armrest is, but the vinyl doesn't. When you screw your armrest back on, it kind of pushes the vinyl in to where it needs to go. I made that mistake on this one. This one here, when it comes with a separate piece of vinyl, a separate piece of foam. I glued the foam and then I glued the vinyl onto the foam. That was a mistake. I had to take it all apart and redo it because it was all wrinkled and it looked like you know what. So I redid it and it turned out really nice. So the other thing you need to be aware of on this wrap when it goes over this window, I put foam on top of this, but I used a 1/4 inch foam. I didn't use the big 1/2 inch foam that they sent with the kit. It's 1/2 inch foam up to here, then I transitioned to a piece of 1/4 inch as I rolled it around, and it worked much, much better. The original foam on these airplanes was 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch, and the new Airtex foam is 1/2 inch, so it's quite a bit thicker. That poses a few issues in a few places. One of them being down here at this channel. This channel, the panel rests into a slot in this channel. With the 1/2 inch foam, you cannot get it into that channel. So what I did is I cut my foam back about 3/8 of an inch from the edge of the panel, and it allowed it to slide into that panel and then bump up against the foam. You can see it turned out pretty nice. You just want to, on the bottom of these panels, you want to leave the foam cut back so you can get it in the channel. Same holds true with the cargo panel. That foam I left cut back about 3/8 of an inch from all edges so that it would tuck in behind the side panels and the carpet and the upper piece of trim. So it's kind of important to know to leave that foam cut back a little bit. The same thing happened on the door. The door, because I didn't replace my windlace, it looked like it was going to be a really hard job. I didn't do it, but the foam was so thick I could not get the door closed. I had to take this back apart and cut the foam back a good 1/2 inch from the edges so that it would seal against the windlace and the door would close. It seals pretty good. Even with the panel off, this door, just the metal part, sealed against the windlace pretty tight. So your plane might be different, but mine, I cut the foam back a good 1/2 inch where it meets the windlace, and it seemed to work pretty well. It's fitting pretty well now. So these small trim pieces too, they are actually, you know, pretty easy to do. I used a 1/4 inch foam on this too. I did not use the 1/2 inch foam. If I'd have used the 1/2 inch, it would have been way sticking out farther than this. So I would recommend, you know, going to upholstery places, get some 1/4 inch foam, and it works pretty well. I did that with all the accent pieces. You can see them there in the back too, the back corners, and the long piece here, and between the windows there. So I'm waiting right now for the seats, and they're supposed to be here tomorrow, and I've got a couple of the seats dismantled. I'll go through how to dismantle one of the rear seats when it's time, but I'll show you how to put one of the front seats back together. They give you pictures, Airtex does. They do not give you a video, they give you pictures. They're pretty easy to follow, but I'm going to do a video so you can kind of see all the intricacies about putting one of the seats back together, which I don't believe is going to be too tough. So anyway, just wanted to give you an idea what it looks like when all the side panels and everything is complete. It took a little time. It was well worth it. It was kind of fun doing it. The airplane was down for a while. Airtex was backed up because of the COVID. They had to shut down, and then they just got restarted, so it took a while to get the stuff. But so far they've sent me, they sent me everything I needed. I didn't really need to go out and buy much other than the 1/4 inch foam. And I had to get some more glue. They sent me 4 pints of glue. I needed about 7. I think it's gonna take about 7 to get the whole thing done. So anyway, that's where we're at so far. When I get the seats and I start putting them together, I'll show you how that goes together. But it was pretty fun doing it. So you get a little satisfaction when you're done with it. So when the seats get here, I'll be doing another video. See you. Okay, guys. Seats finally came from Airtex. This is one of the seats broken down. Really only 2 parts, the base and the back. Not much to it. There's some, Airtex sends you the sling material. It's like a canvas, and when you take your seats apart, you'll see how it's put on. And basically, it's just glued on. I've already done one seat. Went pretty easy. So I'm just going to go through kind of what the kit looks like and what it is you have to do to get the seats put together. So the first step is getting the sling material on. Airtex gives you pictures, but not a video. They have pretty good pictures. So follow those as well. This one I've already sprayed up with glue. It's ready to glue on. This is what the seat back material kind of looks like. It's sort of pre-done for you. We'll go through the steps, how to get it all put together correctly. They've done a lot of work for you, but there's some foam gluing you have to do, and then you have to put the seat bottom on. The seat bottom looks like this. It's already got the leather on it, ready to go. Foam's all there. When we get ready to do it, you just kind of slip it in there and tuck it in and glue it, and we'll kind of go through that too. So I'll get this glued on, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, that one's all done. Not much to it. And wrap it around. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just something to hold the foam. So then, put in the seat foam. Kind of tuck it in. Okay, that's looking pretty good. The next step is to get you some glue, spray. We need to glue it right here. All this right here gets wrapped around and glued to this seat backing. Anyway, the next step is to go ahead and glue this up right here. And it's a lot easier after you spray the glue on, roll the corners around and kind of roll the corners around it, and it helps the glue, the foam stay onto the glue. So I will spray that up, and we'll get the corners turned down and see what it looks like. Okay, I got those, got that glued up. Now we're gonna turn these corners down. There's sort of the beginnings of it. So we got the glue, we got the foam glue stuck pretty good, wrapped around the front. And now it's a matter of just gluing this up, stretching it, getting the wrinkles out of it. You got to stretch this really tight, glue it up, pull it around. I did the sides first, and then I did the back and the front. You can pull it here and there, maybe use a heat gun to get some wrinkles out if you need to. But that's pretty much how you get the seat together. I'll play around with the foam and everything, and eventually we'll get all the wrinkles out. And it'll be good. And there you have it. All done. All glued down. Just fold it over, pull on it, fold it over, glue it down. These two were pretty small. I didn't want to rely on just the glue. I put a couple hog rings in that. Airtex sends you the hog rings just in case you need some. So I just hog ringed it to the backing fabric just to make sure it doesn't come loose. other than that, I found out the wrinkles, you know, you use it a little bit, it gets hot and gets cold, and the wrinkles pretty much go away. So I don't think you need to worry about these little wrinkles too much, because I think they're going to go away. So that's the seat bottom, and next we'll do the back. Okay guys, on to the seat back. So you want to turn it, you know, back side up. We're going to put on the canvas sling. The pictures that, like I said, Airtex sends out are pretty self-explanatory, but I'm just going to show you how we glue one of these up. It's real similar to the bottom, but we'll go ahead and get started. You're really going to need, to do this job, you really need a spray gun, a spray glue gun. Without it, you can't do the job, basically. You can't do it with a brush, it takes forever. Anyway, just get you a cheap Harbor Freight spray gun, and the glue that Airtex gives you it sprays, but it's better if you get a little toluene, thin it down a little bit so it sprays a little bit nicer. You'll see that the way this comes out, it really comes out pretty good, and you can really direct where it goes and how much gets there. So anyway, let's get started. Okay, I think that's sufficiently dry. You really have to let it dry. Don't try to do this when the glue's still wet, this contact cement. Let it dry out so it's not sticky to the touch, and it'll hold really good. If you put it on a little bit too soon, it doesn't hold as well, it comes loose easy, but anyway, once it's dry, it sticks good. Anyway, make your relief cuts, your V's all the way around, glue it back down, slide it in there, and it'll be done. That's the first step. Plenty more to come. So next step is, this is the way the foam comes from Airtex. This is the seat back, the back part, and this is what the front part looks like. We need to put this and glue it in here. So when we get done, it kind of looks like that. So we'll go ahead and spray that up now. We're getting ready to go in. Okay, I think that's dried sufficiently. So now, I kind of cut this foam because the last step you have to fold this foam over, so you're going to have to cut it anyway. It's a little bit easier to cut it and fold it back so that this is a little bit easier going in. You can be a little more careful how you place it. Because once it sticks, that's all she wrote. There's this bolster foam here for your back, lumbar. Make sure that foam is about equal on each side. And then You just have to push this up so it contours with the seat. That's pretty much it. Have the idea kind of what it looks when you get it glued in there. Now the next step is this backing piece. It goes in here like so. You can see that or not, but this also glues in. These slots are for the headrest. If your airplane has headrest, that's what this is for. I'm not sure. I got headrest, but I'm not sure I'm going to put it on yet. I'll make that decision later. But the next step is putting this on, and then you fold this over. Cut it at a 45. Fold this over. Get some extra foam and fill in the gaps. So the whole back of the seat is foam. But anyway, the next step is to glue this thing up and glue it in. So I'll do that now. Make sure I got enough glue. It takes quite a bit of glue. It takes a pint probably to do each seat. A little less than a pint for each seat. So they take quite a bit of glue. Let that dry, we'll stick it on. All right, I think that's dry enough. So it ain't coming out of there. So that's that. Now you need to fold this over. Anyway, it's kind of what it's going to look like, something like that. And then I'll have another piece of foam over there I'll cut to fill in this. And we'll glue that up, fold it down, and then the back seat, the foam part of the back seat will be complete. And then we'll put the leather over the top of it, show you how that's done. Okay, there it is. All the foaming's done. Airtex gives you plenty of extra foam when they send you this stuff. There's plenty of extra half-inch foam to fill in little gaps like this that occur. But that's pretty much it. Ready for the leather seat. So I'll get with the seat cover. You need to turn it inside out. Just grab it. In fact, I'll grab it right now. This is how the seat backs come. They're Velcro at the bottom. Your gluing days are over. No more glue. Except for there is a little bit of glue. I'll show you that, but not much. So, when we start this little flap, this little sewn flap right here, after we get it started, we got to reach up in there and fold this flap around the back, just so we're sure that it doesn't bunch up under here. This little flap needs to be massaged around a little bit so it doesn't get all lumpy when we start putting it on. So I'll go ahead and get this thing started, and we'll continue on. Okay, kind of got it started. Massage you kind of see the top here a little bit. Got kind of all the lumps and bumps out of it. Got it started real good. And we just pull it down. Just kind of push on it, massage it till it gets all the way down. Keep playing with the foam till it gets where you want it. Then the hard part. The hard part is inside of here, you got to lift this up and you have to glue these seams. 3 verticals in here. So what I did is I just took something that could space that up, slid it in there, and then with a brush, takes an hour, but it's the hardest part of the whole thing is getting these seams glued. In the pictures from Airtex, I kind of show it already glued before you start pulling this down. I called him and I said, isn't that kind of difficult? Because as soon as that glue hits, you're not moving it, it's done. He says, no, you don't want to do that. You want to go ahead and put the cover on, get some space in there, and apply that manually by hand with a brush. After it's dried, you just push it down in the seams and work the Velcro. Get it real tight, work the Velcro up underneath there and Velcro it together at the bottom, and it's done. So I'll play around with it here a little bit and get it glued up and get it Velcroed and kind of show you what it looks like when it gets done. Okay, it's getting kind of dark outside, but there's a finished product. All tucked in. Gluing is a pain. Don't use a little bitty brush like I did. Get yourself a long 12-inch brush so you can reach back in there and put lots of glue on it because it takes quite a bit of glue to get this to stick. This one stuck okay. The first one I did didn't stick very well at all. You really can't tell if it doesn't stick. It still looks perfect, but it does give it a little bit more contour. Anyway, that's how the second one turned out. Okay, guys, remember when I told you that gluing these seams was the hardest part of putting these covers on? And in the pictures that Airtex sends you, it shows it just like this in the picture. The cover started over the top of the seat, but the areas where the glue needs to go are already sprayed up, ready to go. My fear was that when you started pulling this down, if it hooked onto that glue, you wouldn't be able to get any wrinkles out or anything. So I'm gonna try. I'm hoping it's gonna work. Went down to the dry cleaner store, got some dry cleaner bags. I'm going to kind of cover this glue up with a dry cleaner bag, and it doesn't stick. It doesn't stick to the glue. So I'm going to put this little sleeve in here, or cover this with plastic, so that when I roll this down, I can still get the wrinkles out and everything, and when I'm ready for it to glue, I'll reach in and pull this plastic out of there, and hopefully it'll work. So that's what I'm gonna try. All right, there she is, all done. Putting the plastic up underneath there worked awesome. Do it that way. With the plastic in there, when you get it all done, pull down where you want, reach in there and just grab that thin plastic, pull it out of there, push the seat down, works great. A lot easier than doing it by hand. Okay guys, here's the rear back seat, one of the back seats from the back of the seat, from the back of the plane. And a lot of people ask, you know, these headrests, how do you get them off? Well, this takes a little brute strength. Just gotta yank on them, they come out of there. So I wanted to show you real quick how we, disassemble one of these real quick. Here's the seat belt. It's in the seat retractor. These two black things basically have to cut the vinyl on the seat. a little placard here on the side. And when you put this back together, go ahead and put the screws back in the frame. Leave them hanging out about 1/2 inch. Wrap the foam around the seat so that when you're all done covering the seat, you can tell where those screws are. Then just cut the leather on top of the screws and put the sign back on. That's kind of how I did it. Worked pretty good. It's got these little threads to hold in these buttons here. Just kind of reach in and cut those threads so you can take it off. And just fold that back. Then you have to get below this foam. So I just kind of cut it. And what you're trying to get to is these black little bushings that push in. And I've exposed one. You can't really see it, but there's the black bushing comes through and snaps into the seat frame. To get that out, you just need a 1/2 inch deep socket. And you push that deep socket over the end of that bushing so it pushes in the tabs. So you push on that and it pops it out. Then you can it comes out of there. So same thing on the other side. Pull this foam back, push that socket on there, it'll pop that bushing out, pull it out. And then the rest of it, you just got to keep cutting around this foam and pull all this foam out of there. And you want to get all the foam off, except for on the rear seats. This top layer of foam comes off, but this black layer underneath, you want to keep that, you want to save that. So you want to pull this foam off of it. It comes off pretty easy. Once you get all the foam off, you want to get everything off, but leave this black and leave the original seat canvas sling. Those are going to remain, and later on we'll kind of be showing you how you put the seat back together. But get all the upholstery off, snap those things out. You want to tie a string on the seat belt and let it retract. Get it out of this thing right here. You want to put a string on that seat belt and let it retract inside the seat a little ways, and just leave a string hanging out so you don't lose it, because you're going to need to pull it out later. So back onto the back seat. So we got pretty much all the foam off of it now. Kind of sort of semi cleaned up. And we're going to be reusing this the way you see it here. We're going to be reusing it, put the new foam and everything in it. And one of the things you have to do is this little overlap. See how this top overlaps the seat frame? This overlap has to be 1/2 inch. So you have to get yourself a pair of scissors. All it really takes, just trim this rubber off so it sticks out 1/2 inch beyond the seat. It's like that because when the new foam goes on, there's a 1/2 inch piece of foam that comes up on top of the seat, and then it's flush at the top. So it's better if you just cut this off at 1/2 inch. This is just a piece of plastic that the seat belt is a seat belt guide. 2 pieces of plastic. You can just trim that with scissors too. 1/2 inch all the way across, and you'll be good to go. Okay, one of the things you have to remember, this happens on the rear seats only, because the rear seats, there's a mechanism so the seat won't go forward unless you pull a little red handle on the side, then allows that seat to pull forward. Well, that little mechanism is caused by a couple of hooks that hook into the seat. And there's a couple of pins that go through this seat that hook hooks onto. And you cannot get the seat apart or put it back together with those pins installed. So what you have to do is, there's a little snap ring around each one of these pins. You just have to take one of the snap rings off and pull these pins out before you separate the back from the bottom of the seat. They won't separate with those pins in there still. I mean, you can get it separated, and I did, but it's a job. And you can't get it put back together with those pins in there. So get yourself a small set of snap ring pliers, pull those pins out, and it makes it a whole lot easier. Okay, you can see we got the foam off. Got the foam off and all cleaned up. And you can tell the back seats have the integral seatbelt retractor in them. So the back seats are like opposite of the front seats. The back seats, on the front seats, this backing material is on this side. On the rear seats, it's on the other side, and they have this black foam rubber that kind of hides this channel here that the seat belt goes into. We've got our string tied on here so that the seat belt can retract into the channel. So on the back seats, we're going to leave the old foam on. We're going to leave the old seat material on so that we can keep this track and everything intact. So on the rear seats, we're not completely disassembling like we did on the front seats. So a little bit different. So the way the rear seats go is you get it down to this position here. You put in your foam backer. It's got a hole cut out of it for the seatbelt retractor. We glue that in, similar to the rest of them. And then you flip this thing over and you glue it into this, just like we did the other seats, and then you fold this over and glue it down like we did the front seats. The really only difference with the back seats is we're putting this infill on the inside of the seat instead of the other side. The backing material's on the opposite side, and it's just so that we don't have to completely rebuild the track and everything that the seat belt resides in. So I'm going to get this ready to get sprayed up and all glued together. We'll go ahead and get our foam and everything pushed back down. After that, it's sort of the same as the front seats. Really not much of a difference, other than the seat belt retractor issue on the rear seats, at least on mine. So anyway, that's kind of the differences between, as far as doing the front seats and the back seats, if your back seats have the integral seat belt retractor in them. So that's it. Also, if you need your seat belts re-webbed, C&M Marine and Aviation Services, I think they're in Texas, they re-webbed these for me. It was like cheap, it was like 60 bucks. So if you need your seat belts re-webbed, that's the way to get it done. But this is the last seat. I'm going to get all of them put in and installed. I have to do 3 headrests. I'm going to do one more video which kind of shows you how to do one of the headrests. You got to put a vacuum bag around the foam and turn on a vacuum and shrink the foam to get the headrest cover on. It's not too bad, but there's a couple things you need to do to your headrest to get it to work good. So one last video for that, and I'll have a final video of the inside of the plane all done. So it's been fun. All right, this is one of the headrests. This is after get the cover off, the Velcro off. The foam is it's that high density foam, and that's the guy next door with an extra 500 going out to do some aerobatic stuff. This is the headrest. The foam is that high density foam, and it's a pain in the ass. You just got to keep working at it. Put some acetone or something and get this glue cleaned off. It's really not necessary to get it all off, but it'd be nice to get most of it off. These folded edges around the edge right here, these folded edges, you have to saw those off so that the plate is just a flat plate. So you want to do these 3 sides. Airtex told me to cut them all off, but I left this bottom one in. And I'll show you a little why later, but I just cut these 3 off. Then you need to take one of these rods off. So the reason why you need to do that is because the foam is plugged up this rod. We need one of these rods holes open for the vacuum to be attached to one of these tubes. It's a lot easier that way. So what I did is I just took the screw out, took one of these rods out, got it cleaned out, got all the foam out of it so it's a hollow rod. You only need to do it to one because you want this one plugged up. Put her back in there, and then this is the foam how it comes from Airtex, the headrest foam. There's a slot in it. You basically slide this inside that foam. Once you get it all cleaned up and you get these cut off, you slide that into the foam like so. Put a plastic garbage bag around it, which I'll show you how to do. Hook a vacuum onto this, make sure the bag's sealed up. Hook a vacuum onto this tube. It'll shrink this foam up to a lot smaller, a lot easier to get the cover on it. You can't do it without it. You can't get the cover on without shrinking it. I've tried it. So anyway, we'll kind of go through those steps just to give you an idea of how it's like. The bottom one, when it's done, it's like that. So it really doesn't hurt anything to leave that bottom one on. But these three, you do have to cut off. It's really hard to get in if you don't cut these off. So anyway, I'll get those cut off and I'll be back. All right, so this is what the headrest looks like after you cut off the three sides. And I'm just gonna slide it down into this foam. Pretty much it. So that's kind of what it looks like when you get done. Then the next thing we're going to do is I went and got some 4-gallon bathroom like trash bags, really lightweight. They're just about the right size. This is the last one. I've kind of done the other three, and it's okay, but it's not, if a bag rips, if a hole rips in the bag, you got to start all over again, put another bag on it. I had to do that a couple times. So it can be a little bit frustrating, but hopefully fourth time's the charm here. So I'm going to just get some tape and seal this bag up tight, tape up all the joints, and I'll be back with you. Okay, you want to also you want to turn your headrest inside out. The padded part goes to the front of the headrest. I found that's also an much easier way to get it on. So I'm going to go ahead and turn the vacuum on, and hopefully this works first time. Well, got a hole in the bag about halfway through, and it wasn't sucking it down real tight. But you get the idea, right? That one was a little harder than the rest of them have been. But I'll fool around a little bit, see if I can get it better. But anyway, that's sort of the procedure. Getting the Velcro in there is easy once you get the bag all undone. So that's kind of how I went about doing it. I'm glad this is the last one. Alrighty, all done. A little quick video tour here. There's the front. Here's the back. So it turned out pretty nice. Open the cargo door. You can see where I took out that 5th seat, the armrest. It's gone now, along with the seat belt and the headrest in the back, all gone. That's it. Hey guys, wanted to do just a little recap here. I probably spent, I don't know, I probably spent about $6,000 on everything because I re-webbed the seat belts and I put insulation in and I did leather, so it was a little bit more money. I probably spent 150 hours on doing it, but it was spread over 2-3 months because the length of time it took me to get the stuff from Airtex. But Airtex was really good, really helpful. If I was going to do it again, I'd do Airtex again. I mean, the guys know what they're doing, and they were sent me everything I needed, and they answered all the questions I had and everything. So it was they were really good. But I had a good time doing it. I just wanted, this video is long, but I wanted to give whoever watches it that might be wanting to do this with airplane a really good idea of what they're getting into when they do it. It is a project. There's no doubt about that. So it's a long video, but if you're really interested in doing your airplane yourself, this will give you a really good idea of what you're getting yourself into and what it really takes to do it. I've done a couple of cars. I've never done an airplane. It was very similar. But anyway, it turned out nice. So if any of you guys are wanting to tackle this, good luck to you.